Today we are running Driplines, and thereafter we'll be looking at our tomatoes which we have already staked to see how they are doing. In one of our previous videos, we showed the process of putting up a dripline, setting up the lines, and what was remaining was just the connection to the dripline getting into the bed. We started putting the lines bed 3, which has Tylka tomatoes, and today we are finishing off what was remaining for block 3 and starting out on block 4. Block 4, we have already started planting some Rio Grande tomatoes. They're not doing very well because of watering. As you can see, our soil is very hard, and because of that, it needs a lot of water. And it's very tedious having to water with a pipe all through. We tried using a can, it was taking longer than expected. But using a pipe seemed a bit easier, but it's still tiresome. The more the area grows big of where we have planted, the more cumbersome it becomes in watering. That is why we have this plan of setting up the drip lines so that it can be automatic. And when watering is ongoing, everything else on the farm can also be going. Maintenance and more planting can go on. As you can see, it's a very tiresome and tedious process. You have to run the whole line on the whole bed. Previously, we had set up in such a way that each bed will have 2 lines running through it. With a single line, we noted that it will be able to serve the whole bed. This will depend on the amount of time the water will be open for each bed. We are estimating between 20 to 40 minutes of opening water per block, which will ensure that it's thoroughly watered. So far, we have done the same on block 3 and we have seen it work. When you look at our tomatoes, you can note that they have grown very big and very fast. And this is because of good, efficient watering. So that is what you want to employ for the rest of the beds. As we run the drip lines, this is what you are looking to. As well, you can note that the pixie orange trees are in between some of the beds. So they will receive double watering, which is also quite good. Some of them, which are on block 3 and block 5, are very small. So they should be able to get adequate watering and boost up their growth. As we are running the drip line, you can note that they get mingled. We had one person stand on one edge, and the other person between me and my worker would pull the line and make sure it reaches the end before we cut it. And in this way, the mingling of the line becomes less, and someone had to go back and ensure that it's straight. And after you've ensured it's straight, we fix it to the already connected pipes and then tie it on one end. This ensured that we ran the drip lines along the beds adequately, and as you can see, it's not a very easy process. It's quite tiresome moving back to front. Having started putting the drip lines way back, we are getting a bit experienced in having to do this. The learning lessons have enabled us to put up the lines a bit faster. As the lines are ongoing, on the other side, we are having one of the workers having to break up the soil, which is in big boulders, make it a bit smaller so that when you water it, it will just easy for water to flow through. As you can see, it has been cloudy for the longest while, but the drought has still continued. We are hoping that the rains will come soon. Some areas around the country have received some small amount of rains here and there, but so far we have not seen it. We are just experiencing the cloudy days. No. After this, we move on to assess the other sections, especially which already have crops. As we move on to the capsicum section, we note some of the plants that had already been affected by some disease. The leaves are drying up. are now getting these sprouts. Pray that we'll be able to manage them this time well. Whatever caused the infection, I hope that we will have dealt with it fully. I think it had also affected this one. As well, we are assessing some of the trees along where the capsicums are. Here they are, as you can see, some of these capsicums have started sprouting up again. We also note that some trees have started flowering at this time, so we are anticipating that fruits will be there within the course of the year and hopefully more. Then lastly, we get to the section of where we have been working on in the past few days, and we have been staking the tomatoes. This is how they look like currently. It's been quite tedious. We had to go looking for some branches of trees which we cut and made as staking poles, and above we put a binding wire which ran on the top and it was very tight. For each plant we used a string that's supposed to be tightened each and every time depending on the growth of the plant, so that when it becomes a bit heavy you just go on top of it, pull up the string and make it a bit harder. This is much easier to deal with than having to stick each plant with a stick. Thus far, we've done majority of block 3. All these are Tylka tomatoes. As you can see, because of the watering, they have grown really fast, and now with the staking, we anticipate that the plant will hold up very well. Looking carefully, you can note that majority of these plants are flowering. So within the next few weeks, they'll start fruiting, and that is the essence of why we are doing this, so that we can give them adequate water and spacing and enable them to grow very well. Let's walk this journey together and continue learning on how to manage this farm. If you have any thoughts or ideas to share, kindly do leave a comment below so that we note where we are doing well and where we could have done better, or where we can amend to make it a bit better. We still have a large section to cover with planting and staking. From there, we move on to assess the lines which we have put. This is how they look like. As you can see, from the edge they were set up 2 pots whereby you can install a line. But since we are not using both of them, we are using one. That is the one which we had to run the drip line. Before, we were using water pipe to water the whole bed, and as you can see, it's a bit tiresome. Someone has to go with the line to ensure that it's well watered all over, and that is what we want to stop. By having the lines run, we will ensure that all the farm gets adequate water and each plant is assured of good growth. I've opened the drip lines for the fruit trees and the water is coming up well. All we need to do is just adjust the nipple so that it removes adequate water, not too much and not too little. And for the expected timeline is that we are hoping to open up the water. Fruit trees can get adequate amount of water throughout, for we water once a week, and this time we want to ascertain that each tree gets adequate water that we will be able to manage and take care of it for the time period before the next watering session. That was a good day today. I hope that we are learning something together. If this is the first time you are watching my video, visiting my channel, kindly hit the subscribe button below and click the bell button to turn on the notifications.